God's creation is truly a miracle of life that begins at conception. Life begins when an egg cell is fertilized by one among millions of sperm cells. You are literally one in a million.
In 1999, Dr. Joseph Bruner at Vanderbilt University was in surgery when this stunning photo was taken, showing Samuel Armas at 21 weeks, grasping his finger. Suddenly, an entire arm thrust out of the opening, then pulled back until just a little hand was showing. The doctor reached over and lifted the hand, which reacted and squeezed the doctor's finger. As if testing for strength, the doctor shook the tiny fist. This awesome picture was worth thousands of words to describe the miracle of life. Samuel was born healthy.
Raising awareness and promoting the pro-life truth is essential for protecting the sanctity of human life. Roe v. Wade is perhaps the single most divisive action taken by the court in the 20th century. Our inalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness were crossed out and rewritten to be life as long as it's convenient, liberty to do whatever we want, and happiness at any cost, including the cost of human life.
Rights endowed by our Creator were put in the hands of men and women who play God and decide who will live and who will die.
The legacy is more than 50 million lives that were snuffed out like candles, leaving darkness where their light should have shone.
How can we continue to forsake the lives of these innocent unborn children? Since 1973, over 53 million babies have been aborted.
If you were born after 1973, up to 30% of your friends, neighbors, and relatives are missing. Since the Supreme Court approved legal abortions, nearly 1 of every 3 babies was aborted. That means over 50 million U.S. children, teens, and young adults are missing. While we know how all of them disappeared, we will never know what they had to offer. Life. See what we've been missing.
And he told me that my job during the procedure was going to be to hold the ultrasound probe on the woman's belly during the procedure. And so I got everything in place, and I was familiar with that. I'd done ultrasounds before. And I looked up on the screen. We did the measurement. We found that the woman was 13 weeks pregnant. And I was looking up there, and I kind of got this sick feeling in my stomach because I thought, oh my gosh, this looks too familiar. This is very familiar for me. I have a daughter that's almost 4. She'll be 4 in November, and I looked up there and I remembered the ultrasound that we had of my daughter when I was 12 weeks pregnant. And it looked almost identical. We were so incredibly excited, and now I'm looking at this child on the screen and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this baby is even a week more developed than Grace was at that time. What are we about to do? And so then all of a sudden I saw the cannula, that same instrument. I saw that going into the woman's uterus, and it looked out of place, but it kind of caught my attention again. And then I saw that cannula go right up to the child's side, and it began to probe the side of the child, and nothing happened. And I thought, well, of course nothing's happening, because babies at 13 weeks don't feel anything, right? That's what Planned Parenthood says. And why would they lie? And I kept thinking about all the thousands of times that women would sit face to face with me and they would ask me, will my baby feel this? And I would look right back at them and I would give them the scripted answer that Planned Parenthood had given to all of their abortion counselors. And that scripted answer was, no, the fetus does not have any sensory development until 28 weeks. And I believed it. Because I had to. I had to believe it in order to keep doing the job I had been doing for 8 years. And so right as I was repeating that scripted answer in my mind, all of a sudden I looked at the screen and I saw this child jump. And I thought maybe it was just a reflex, but then I kept looking and I saw this child. It began to flail its arms and legs. It began to move away from that cannula. I could tell that this child sensed its life was in danger. This child was having a human response. It was experiencing a fight or flight response. It was moving further and further away from the instrument that was about to take its life. And when the doctor got everything in place, he asked for the technician to turn on the suction machine, and he looked at her and he said, "Beam me up, Scotty."
The time is always right to do what is right. Martin Luther King Jr.
Who are these people who are never allowed to draw a breath, celebrate a birthday, ride a bicycle, throw a baseball, go to a dance, or fall in love? Could they have been your friends? Your classmates? What contributions of poetry, science, music, leadership, and love have been forfeited?
So I needed to rehearse, but we didn't have the actress. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go to an abortion clinic, because for those who have seen the movie Bella, you know the theme. So the role that I was playing, Jose, you know, I needed to really do research and to understand why Nina was going through, the whole pain that she was going through. I needed to understand very well. So I thought it was going to be something very simple and easy, just going to an abortion clinic, first time in my life. At that time, it was in the beginning of my conversion, so I didn't know about the pro-life, pro-choice. I was completely like a baby, just getting to know a little bit about, my faith. And next thing you know, I went there and I was in shock. My first time ever in a place like this. And when I saw these girls, 15, 16-year-old girls going in, I didn't know what to do. I almost started crying. I was like, just, okay, what do I have to do now? And then I saw a few people outside trying to convince them not to do it. So I approached that group and they thought I was one of them. I had no idea about how to talk to a girl, or I was just listening to their conversations. And next thing you know, one of these couple from Mexico recognized me from the soap operas. We spoke for like an hour about everything. She told me her life. I told her my life. We cried. We became friends right there. She gave me her phone number. And of course, she lost her appointment, thank God. And so I gave her a little teddy bear and ¿cómo se dice? Una carriola, a stroller, and she started crying. I started crying. And then the next day I called her, and then I called her again and again and again. I told her, you're not alone. We met for a reason, and anything I can do to help. And finally, we found the actress. So I moved to New York. By being there that day, it helped me so much in my character when I was playing, when I was portraying Jose, and when I was talking to Nina. I was just thinking about that moment in the clinic when I was talking to this person. Well, we finished the movie Bella. We come back to Los Angeles, and a few months later, I received a call from this man, her boyfriend, and he tells me, Eduardo, I have a great news. Yesterday, my little boy, he was saying, my baby, was born, and I just want to ask you permission because I want to call him Eduardo. And I never thought in a million years that by going there to do my homework as an actor, months later, I was going to carry this beautiful baby. It changed my life.
Since it's our generation's future, the question we must ask is, how will we answer the pro-life question? How will our generation confront the greatest spiritual and moral issue of our time?
I'll never forget arriving to college, to Texas A&M University. And my best friend, who I decided to live with, encouraged me, since I was no longer discerning the priesthood, to date his sister, who was 2 years older than me and basically better than me in all areas of life, looks, intelligence, very intimidating. And I did. And the first thing that this young lady asked me was to go pray with her at the abortion facility. And I had never seen an abortion clinic before. I didn't even know Planned Parenthood did abortions. And to my knowledge, I had never met a woman who had ever had an abortion. So I went out there and I prayed, and I'll never forget what happened. I was praying in front of the Planned Parenthood abortion clinic in College Station, Texas, And I hadn't even attended a class yet. And I remember a woman walked in, and we knew she was having an abortion, and she kind of talked to the sidewalk counselor and just sort of blew her off, as many of you are familiar with how that can happen sometimes. And she went in, she came out a few hours later and had the abortion, and she was pulling out. And your first time out, you feel uncomfortable and you feel awkward. And you should, because of what's going on the other side of the fence. And as she pulled out into the driveway, our eyes sort of locked. I wasn't trying to make eye contact with her, but I did. And her eyes were swelling up, and she looked at me as if to say, when I drove in here, I thought you were here to judge me. I thought you didn't love me. I thought that you didn't care. And now that I'm leaving, I see that you do love me, that you do care, that you're not here to judge me, and that it is too late. So I just decided to get more involved.
This is surely a battle that requires continued prayer, faith, and fortitude. Victories come one day at a time, one life at a time. With God's help, we will overcome, because we all know abortion stops a beating heart forever.